Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
Powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. This is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner. That's Corey Tackman. Corey, we have some high school sports we got to talk about tonight. We also will have a special interview that you did that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show as well. But first, why don't we start off shouting the good folks at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena?
Yeah, let's do it. Today, as you now know, we've been pretty persistent on this, is the final day to get signed up for the Ultimate Prize giveaway. It's your chance to win a Nintendo Switch 2 and a 50-inch TV in the Ultimate Prize giveaway. Today is the day. Get yourself signed up by getting your FunZone Rewards account. If you already have it, you're already automatically entered in. If you don't, so we'll sign up and get the rewards. This is how you can get signed up. If you're watching Morning Sports Desk on YouTube, there's the QR code. You can see it right there on the screen. Stop into Pizza Ranch, FunZone Arcade in Wadena, or check out their social media and you'll find the code. But it's the Ultimate Prize giveaway, a chance to win a Nintendo Switch 2 and a 50-inch TV. The Ultimate Prize giveaway from Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
All right, Corey, you have a volleyball game tonight, a little non-conference. Believe it's a section game, but didn't even matter if it wouldn't have been. It's a rivalry matchup nonetheless.
It's a rivalry matchup kind of in more ways than one that I'm excited to tell you about. First of all, let's just learn a little bit about each of these teams really quickly. It is Staples-Motley versus Pillager, non-conference volleyball action tonight on AM1430 and 98.5 FM The Fan. The home team, Staples-Motley Cardinals, are 4-13 overall. They're 0-4 in Heart of Lakes Conference play. They're 0-5 in section play, a QRF rating of 41.8. It's been a struggle of late for the Cardinals. 5 straight losses for Staples-Motley. Their last win came over Hill City Northland back on the 13th of September at the Crosby Ironton tournament. But otherwise, losses to Wadena, Deer Creek, Breckenridge, Barnesville, and Frazee, who all sport pretty nice teams this year, if we're being frank about those teams. In the Heart of Lakes Conference standings, Staples-Motley is second to last. Hawley, the top team there. And check this out. I just cannot get over this. Hawley Nuggets, defending state champions, a QRF value of 129.3. DGF is number 2 in the conference, 95.0. So it's a 35 point. The difference between 1 and 2. And by the way, that QRF rating for DGF is no joke.
Right, exactly. A lot of teams at the end of the year would love to have a QRF in that part of the world.
End of the year. There's still 2 weeks left of the regular season. Pillager Huskies are 9-11 overall. They're 1-3 in Park Region play, 1-2 in section play. Their QRF rating is 54.4. They are winners of 2 out of their last 5. Although I did see them on Thursday last week. They lost to Verndale in that matchup. But since then, a loss to Swanville, a win over Cass Lake Bena, a win over Bertha-Hewitt, and a loss to Renville County West. Those all in that Bertha-Hewitt tournament over the weekend. The Pillager Huskies are in the bottom third of the Park Region Conference standings. Wadena Deer Creek, the top team, at 4-0. Henning there at 3-0. Then Verndale, Sabika, Bertha-Hewitt, then Pillager, followed by Monaga and New York Mills. I do also want to mention this because we are getting very, very close to the end of the year. And some of these section seedings, CJ, are becoming more and more important. Both of these teams, Staples-Motley and Pillager, are in Section 6 AA, where Albany is the top team. And this is a 4-horse race in Section 6A right now. Okay, check out the difference here. First of all, according to the QRF, 4 of the top 8 teams in the state are in Section 6 AA.
Goodness gracious.
Albany, turns out football and volleyball, 6AA is the section to be in. Albany is the top seed right now. They're ranked third in QRF with a 116.7. Then it is Pequot Lakes, ranked sixth. Minnewaska area is ranked seventh, and Sauk Center is ranked eighth. That's in the state, according to QRF.
Good.
That's really pretty darn good. And it's a 20-point difference then between Sauk Center and Foley, between that 4 and 5 spot. So Foley's 5, Royalton 6, Malacca 7, St. Cloud Cathedral 8, Melrose 9. Pillager right now is 10th in that section. Osakis 11, Holdingford 12, Staples-Motley 13 in section 6A standard. Then Piers then eventually rounds it out. Staples-Motley won the matchup a year ago in 3. And we get the rematch tonight. I mentioned this is a rivalry in more than one way. Not, the long-standing, blood oath both of those communities took. They all take at birth. You get baptized, and then after the baptism, you take a blood oath to destroy the other community.
Yes, of course. Who could forget?
The thing we all know about both of those communities. So that's the first part of it. And the rivalries is insane. Looking forward to that football game in a couple of weeks, by the way. But on top of it all, number 6, 5'7" senior Annie Schlosser of the Staples-Motley Cardinals, and number 6, 5'11" junior Sophie Schlosser of the Pillager Huskies are sisters. And they will be standing straight across the net from each other in tonight's matchup. So that nice little added wrinkle to all of it. 7 o'clock pregame, 7:15 first serve, AM 1430, 98.5 FM, The Fan.
And by the way, you can find the full broadcast schedule online at wadenaradio.com or by following Sports Cow on Facebook.
Moo!
Moo. By the way, big development in the 1-year-old yesterday. Got him to start saying moo.
Yeah.
We were at my parents' house, and we were taking care of his cows. And we were just giving a little bit of some calves some water. And I was like, "Can you do a moo?" And then he did it. And then one of the cows inadvertently, like just out of its own volition, mooed back at him, and he was like, "What? Huh?
Worked?
It works?
Animals?"
Exactly. Like if I make the noise, they'll make it back at me. So yeah, that was a pretty big development. So we have added another one to the moo cult. Is that the best way to say it?
Put it on a t-shirt.
Moo cult.
Hashtag moo.
Moo cult. Hashtag moo.
The bell cow of high school sports coverage is Sports Cow.
Moo. All right. So Corey, we'll play the full interview at the end of the show, but I want to let you know, I want you to let us know about something really cool that you got to talk about yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday I was fortunate enough to talk with Bertha-Hewitt head football coach Jared Hoemberg. Their varsity football program obviously having a great year. They're 5-0. They scored roughly 6,000 points in their game the other night. I think
game against Cromwell Wright coming up on Friday night. Big
game against Cromwell Wright coming up on Friday night. So we did just a little quick checkup and catch up, I should say, on Bertha-Hewitt football. But the main crux of the conversation was to talk about a kid in the program who's a junior this year and has been a part of the program. Well, as soon as you can start, really, starting in 7th grade. And Taylor is his name. And every single year he's been a part, junior high and JV football. And they get Taylor gets to score a touchdown every single season. So he is has a disability and is not able to participate fully in football, but loves it. Loves it. We're talking about a kid and his parents, by the way, who do a wonderful job of getting him to and from every single practice, every single day, and to and from games all the time, and just loves being a part of it. For Taylor, it started as 7th grade. It actually started with AD Dave Mills, who was and is, I think, still the junior high coach, was able to set things up and allow Taylor to get a touchdown. And I know Jared's already in the works for his senior year to get him a varsity score, which would be a pretty special event. But the thing that Jared wanted to emphasize so much is how committed to football and his teammates Taylor is, and how important it is for the program and for the rest of the guys. He went way out of the way, Jared did, to say our team mission. He sent me a message because he wanted to make sure that this was put perfectly. Our team mission is to develop young men of high character and to see and help out a teammate like Taylor celebrate and feel like one of the players. And they do just that. So they had their JV game last night, and Taylor was able to score another touchdown. He's had a touchdown every single year of his football career. And I think it just goes to highlight, CJ, and I'll let you speak on this too, because this happened in your hometown and the school that you went to, but how important these communities are for each other and supporting each other. We had Norm Gallant on yesterday, right, and talked about building programs, and he talked about homecoming week. His favorite thing was the captains going over to the elementary school and signing autographs and the Hall of Fame. And you build this, it's the momentum, the snowball down the hill that just keeps growing and growing and growing for the program. And Coach Hoemberg has been around. I think this is year 5 for him now, right in there as the head varsity football coach. And this is just one of those things in the mix of building a program that goes beyond more than football, right? It goes beyond more than football. It's like there's lots of life lessons to learn in sports. We all know how important they are. We know how important they were to you, and how important they were to me growing up, and still are in our everyday jobs. And it's just a special moment, I think. And I love when schools remember that it's not just about wins and losses and the varsity record book. This is about building camaraderie and building community and supporting each other.
Yeah, and sometimes I think people get this idea that those words of culture and some of this stuff is overused, and no, it's not. And people really, these coaches around the area and every program do a good job of emphasizing that it's not just about the game on the field. And yeah, we had Wadena Deer Creek Activities Director Norm Gallanton yesterday, and he reiterated that same thing. And for Bertha-Hewitt and for Jared and for that program, I know that they do a good job. And like you said, E.D. Mills, kind of getting that started with Taylor's touchdown and things like that. And it was always a really cool moment. And it's really cool to see my alma mater doing this. But what also makes it really special for me is I know that family very, very well. They grew up those kids grew up just down the road from my parents. His older brother graduated with my younger brother. It's really cool to see that all come together and to see him get that moment. That kid loves football. I got to knock him, though. He's a Packer fan, so we got to take points away.
I saw that. I did. I actually asked about that, and he said Aaron Rodgers is his favorite player, and the Green Bay Packers are his favorite team. So
minus points for that, Taylor. But other than that,
yeah, a few negatives. But other than that, you've scored more touchdowns in your career than I ever did. So yeah, congratulations. It's really cool to see this come together and the community come together and support and do things. And I can't wait for next year. This obviously happened last night in the JV football game. I know you talked with Jared yesterday morning on the big show on the Superstation K106, but this happened at the JV game. Bertha-Hewitt football, to my knowledge, has not put out a video yet or a picture. They usually will. But looking at that and that tradition, it's really cool. I can't wait to see what it becomes next year for his senior year under the lights. That's just going to be a really cool experience if we can get that all coordinated and get everything on the up and up. That's going to be so awesome. And I got to tell you, that makes that kid and I'm sure that family's year when this day gets to roll around. Yeah, man, it's the coolest. I don't know. I can't really add anything more intelligently to that whole thing. It's just really cool. Neat that they're doing it. And then you top it off, I guess, with, you talk about culture, and the culture is a real conversation. And not that these two things are necessarily related, but they go into the pot. They go into the equation that equals the final answer of good culture. Like, you're talking about a group of kids in that varsity program who have now come up through an entire high school career playing under Coach Hoemberg. The Taylor's touchdown thing has happened through his entire tenure. And the varsity team is winning games. They're doing this. there's just like, it's the buzzword is synergy, right? Like they all feed off each other. There's a little butterfly effect. I don't know, whatever buzzwords you want to put on it, they all go together. And one doesn't necessarily mean the other, but all of a sudden you just start picking all these. Just because you pick up a twig on the ground doesn't mean you have a tree, but the trunk of the tree is right there. So, a pretty special moment for Taylor, for the Bertha-Hewitt football community and the Bertha-Hewitt community at large. I love that they do that. And like you said, I can't wait for next year. Next year to get him that varsity score is going to be the coolest.
It's going to be cool. And by the way, again, there's about a 4-minute interview that Corey had with Coach Hoemberg. We're going to play that at the end of the show. So just be sticking around for that.
Great.
As well. So Corey, let's move on here into our state sports, and let's talk about the biggest 2 news stories in Minnesota this morning. Let's start off with the biggest one yesterday, which was the fact that the Minnesota Twins did in fact make a change. We were talking on the show yesterday. It feels like Rocco Baldelli leaving as manager just kind of feels inevitable based on all the factors on the ground. And lo and behold, the Twins put out a very lengthy statement that can basically be boiled down to 3 words, which is, Rocco, you're fired.
Yeah. I don't think either of us would have been necessarily surprised by either outcome had they decided to keep him just because of the way the ownership is, or if they decided to fire him basically as a scapegoat and hopefully to try to deflect the conversation from what is actually at hand. I don't know that I have. We've had lots of conversations over the Rocco career as manager of the Twins, and I think the most recent conversation we had included basically the question of, like, we don't know if he was a good manager. We don't know if he was a bad manager. What we do know is that for most of his time in that manager seat, he was hamstrung by an organization that wouldn't pursue a higher level of baseball.
Right.
Most notably making the playoffs, but not making a move at the trade deadline that year, and then cutting payroll immediately following. Like, you could probably stamp that as like the key, a key moment in this franchise and the Rocco tenure. And I still feel that way. I don't know if Rocco was a good manager or if he wasn't a good manager. I know he had more wins than losses in his career.
He's the 3rd winningest manager in Twins history.
Yeah, but I think how many years was it? Was it 4 years total?
19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. So 7 years as manager. One of them was the COVID 60-game season. Sure. So like 6.5. But I think most of those seasons were losing seasons. Like, it's just as a weird situation. And mostly the general consensus that I'm seeing, talking to you, talking to Zeke, talking to other friends of mine, social media, other people in media, Rocco's the scapegoat on a mostly incompetent organization. Yeah, that's pretty much the story, right? I mean, if you want to go back to even losing seasons, the Twins had a winning season in 19, a winning season in 20. They had a losing season in 21. They had a losing season in 22. They made the playoffs in 23. Even though last year fell apart, they technically had a winning record. So in 3 out of his 7 years, they were losing seasons. But yeah, you're right. Like, overall, all that stuff. But like, to put it into perspective, the Twins basically are going to fire Baldelli, and that's it. We mentioned it on yesterday's show. Twins president, Derek Falvey, not just president of baseball operations. He's the team president as well as the president of baseball operations. He is, outside of ownership, the most powerful person in the organization. And unless the Twins were going to go that far, like to where they were going to look for not just a new head of the front office, not just a new head of the dugout, but also a head of the team president, like the business side of things. Or maybe they would make Falvey just be the team president and then hire somebody else to do baseball operations. But that'd feel weird. Why would you want that job? When a person who just had the role is still in the organization and in fact has more power, how freely are you going to be able to put your vision in? Anyway, the whole list of things is to say the Twins weren't going to completely blow up the entire organization at this point. And firing the manager just kind of was the easiest thing you could do to show that, like, all right, we'll make a change. Because last year when the Twins had the epic collapse, Baldelli kept his job, and I think it was the right move to keep Baldelli, but I don't think anybody would have been surprised either if the Twins fired Rocco after last season. The way, again, something had to be done. The team decided to fire the whole hitting department. They cleaned out all the hitting coaches and then brought back in Matt Borgschulte to be the hitting coach and all that. But then you look at Rocco just as the manager getting fired here. He only had one more year left on his contract. It was a pretty, like, every available sign on the ground was that, like, this guy's probably just not going to come back because, like, it's just really easy to get rid of him at this particular time and cut bait and find somebody new. There's a statement, Corey, that the Minnesota Twins put out. It's a very lengthy one. The Minnesota Twins, this was from yesterday, announced that Rocco Baldelli will not return as the club's manager in 2026. Here's a quote from Derek Falvey. Over the past 7 seasons, Rocco has been much more than our manager. He's been a trusted partner and teammate to me in leading the way to this organization. Together, we shared a deep care for the Twins, for our players and staff, and for doing everything in our power to put this club in the best position to succeed. Along the way, we experienced some meaningful accomplishments, and I'll always be proud of those. And as I wish we ultimately had achieved more. This is a difficult day because of what Rocco represents to so many people here. He led with honesty, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to our players and staff. He gave himself fully to this role, and I have tremendous respect for the gratitude and the way he carries himself and the way he showed up to every single day. This game is ultimately measured by results, and over the past 2 seasons, we did not reach the goals we set. This is Derek Falvey, again, team president and president of baseball operations, take personal responsibility for that. After discussions with ownership, we determined that this is the right move for a change in voice and direction. This decision is not a reflection of Rocco's effort or leadership. It reflects that where we are as an organization and the belief that a different voice is needed to help us move forward. I am deeply grateful to Rocco, his wife, and the family that they have contributed to the Twins. His impact extends while wins and losses and remain a part of the organization. And it will remain a part of the organization for years to come. Named the 14th manager in history, and it goes on to talk about Rocco. And after ongoing internal discussions, we believe this is the right time for a change of leadership in our major league team. These decisions are never easy, particularly given the respect we have for Rocco, said Joe Polad. He led with professionalism and care for both his players and the organization. We are grateful to the way Rocco represented the Twins. Rocco, his wife, and their children will always be part of the Twins family. We wish them the very best moving forward. The Twins will immediately begin their search for a new manager. The club's 2026 coaching staff will be determined by the new manager in collaboration with Falvey and executive vice president and general manager Jeremy Zoll. So basically that means that Falvey's staying, the GM is staying, everybody in the front office is staying, but there is going to be a new skipper. The entire coaching staff will be retained just to let the new manager decide if he wants to keep them or not. And remember when they fired Gardy, they fired the entire coaching staff all at once. But I think basically we've talked about the cynical way to view this, Corey, which is the Twins are going to fire a guy and go, well, see, we did something, guys. We got rid of the manager. Everything's good. We just needed a new manager. That's the only problem with this organization. But I think there is a case to be made if we're actually like non-cynical about this, that even though if Rocco was fine, wasn't an awful manager, wasn't the best manager in baseball, there's a very good case to be made that, like, it's been 7 years. The team maybe hit a ceiling. Maybe it's just time for somebody else to give this a shot.
Yeah. But also, then why didn't you do that before when you collapsed a year ago? And then why did you 4 months later announce his extension? And why, like, yes, that's true. But I also think that sugarcoating this entire process, going back to hiring the guy in the first place who had no coaching experience at all. Like, I mean, I think he'd sat on a bench as a coach.
He was a bench coach and kind of a lot of minor league stuff. Yeah.
I mean, and also, how can you say I personally take responsibility for this and then immediately pin it on someone else? You know what, guys? My bad. And as an apology for my ineptitude, you have to leave.
Sorry. Pink slips on the door.
You imagine hailing a taxi cab and being like, get me to Times Square. And then the guy turns around and drops you off in Queens at Shea Stadium. And then he's like, not only do you owe me the fare, you owe me double the fare. This was my bad.
My bad.
I should have driven the entire opposite direction. I know I dropped you off in Queens. You owe me double the fare.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. This whole process, this is the reason they didn't I'll tell you why they didn't fire him. I'm going to answer my own question, because they didn't know who the owners were going to be.
Right.
Either way, they still don't know who the owners now know that they're the owners, but they don't want the team.
Right.
They want to still sell the team. It's a mess, man. This organization it's going to be quiet because it's Midwestern, and it's just going to fester and bubble underneath. It's going to be very passive aggressive, because that's what we do in Minnesota, just in general. That's how it's going to be. It's not ever going to seem like it's that big of a deal. But if you take a step back and look at what this organization has been, all the way back to racist Calvin Griffith, it's a problem. The success they've had, they've lucked into, and have not been on purpose. I think you shared a quote from a Pittsburgh source about the Pirates.
Yep.
And how I'm gonna paraphrase it here, and I don't want to take the whole luster. You can fill in the blanks. But the Pirates player was like, "We play teams that are actively trying to not win, who spend more than us."
Right.
It's not even like you're getting outspent by teams who are trying to do something. We're being outspent by teams who aren't even trying to win. They're in an active rebuild, are spending more money than us.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. And the Twins situation is not as egregious as Pittsburgh's, but it is close, and it's certainly longer than.
Mm-hmm.
Gross, man. I don't like any of it.
The quote, I think, was something like, I mean, you only spent $90 million on the roster. Like, what did you expect this team was going to be?
Yes.
Because Pittsburgh, like, one of the most notoriously cheap teams of baseball. Like, they fired their manager, Derek Shelton, who, by the way, could be a potential Twins replacement. He was Rocco Baldelli's bench coach his first couple of years in Minnesota. But like, it's the thing of, yeah, I mean, you didn't invest in the roster. Did you expect like this team to be good? Like and it's the
2023 playoffs sound familiar?
Yeah. You saw it. It's again, we talked about it before, the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You have a team that like, okay, there's something here. Let's invest a little further and see if they can take it further. And it's, in fact, we're going to take money away. We're going to cut you off at the knees. Huh, weird. You're losing the race because you can't walk? Well, okay. Well, that's your fault. You should have figured out a way to overcome that. It's like, it's the self-fulfilling prophecy of the team undercut payroll. And then because they cut payroll, they weren't as good. And because they kind of, for lack of a better term, petered out, like, of course they felt like, wow, this team felt like it ran out of gas. What happened? It felt like it hit a ceiling because you set the ceiling. You put the ceiling above them. And then they hit it. And you were like, oh, geez, they can't break that, huh? Well, we might as well just blow it up. And it's all this stuff. And again, ownership, the team a mess. It all is what it all is. Like, that is going to change. And we'll talk about that over the winter. The team does have to look at who they are going to replace him with. And I feel like there's a lot of different directions this team can go. I put out on Twitter yesterday, the funniest thing will be when there's a huge chunk of the fan base that, again, just they only know who the manager is. So all of their frustrations with the franchise get thrown on the manager. It's part of the job. But like, they'll be like, yes, Rocco's finally fired, only for the team to put bench coach Jace Tingler as the new manager and bring the whole staff back and be like, well, there's your fresh face, guys. We did it.
So, and we can maybe, I don't know if you're planning on talking about some of these names, but there is that's a really great point that you made of like, and no, we don't mean any offense to Jace Tingler. Like, maybe he'll be great. But it is going to be, the underlying problem here is that it doesn't matter who the manager is.
Right.
I don't care if you go get Mike Shosha or Peak Joe Torre or Terry Francona or you get
Bochy.
Or Bruce, like, you go get like a dude. Go get a dude. It's not gonna matter because you will field a competitive team within the confines of the parameters that we give you. And the parameters we give you are as wide as your computer monitor.
Right.
That's it. So, I mean, what names have you seen? What names have you heard? Are any of these actually real? Or is this one of those, every time the Gopher football job comes open, Tony Dungy is listed?
A little bit of that, a little bit of either. There's a few names that have popped up. I know our guy Zeke sent us a little bit of a list of different guys who were kind of popped up. I believe that was from an ESPN article as I'm trying to find the different names on here. I'm looking on my...
Well, you look for those. Let me read what I've seen.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So I've seen Skip Shoemaker.
Yep, yeah, the Cardinals. He was the manager of the Marlins before getting fired last year, yeah.
Manager of the year in 2023, as a matter of fact. I've seen Brandon Hyde.
Yep.
Who was a 2023 AL manager of the year.
Orioles manager, yep.
I've seen David Ross, former Cubs manager. I don't know how to say this guy's name. Craig Albernaz.
Sure.
George Lombard, who's the Tigers bench coach. James Rosen, Yankees hitting coach. He was a former Twins hitting coach. And I've seen Torrey Hunter as a name also.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting. There's always a kind of snapback effect, right? Like when the Minnesota Vikings fired Leslie Frazier, they didn't want a nice guys coach. They wanted somebody who was going to get on the team. So they hired Mike Zimmer. And then by the time Mike Zimmer left, they're like, okay, we need a guy who's going to be a player's coach and who's going to be laid back and not going to be so tight all the time. So they hire Kevin O'Connell, right? Like there's a pendulum that kind of swings back and forth when you fire a guy. And Rocco Baldelli was seen as a laid back player's manager, and he largely was. So does that mean that the Twins end up snapping back and going to like, we need to get an old school manager who's going to be, barking throughout the game and things like that?
We need to have this conversation because we're talking about it like they have a competent ownership group.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to continue this conversation. I just had to put a pause on it because, of course, that is not the way this ownership is not actively owning. They're passively owning. So they're going to take the easiest route. But yes, otherwise, in any normal circumstance, and there have been a lot of coaches fired so far, in any normal circumstance, this is absolutely correct. Okay, time in. You may proceed.
Well, you make a good point, too. There's a decent amount of manager spots opening already. Bruce Bochy is not coming back with the Texas Rangers after winning a World Series with them in 2023. The Giants fired Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin is another name. He's kind of a long-established manager. He could be somebody who comes to the Twins. He had a lot of good years in Oakland. By the way, Bruce Bochy going to the Giants feels kind of inevitable, doesn't it, with Buster Posey as the GM?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. There's a few other names that come to this list. Ryan Flaherty currently serves as the Cubs bench coach. Mark Hallberg, who's the Giants' current first base coach. Nick Hundley is working with the Texas Rangers. Dusty Baker is currently in the Astros front office, but does he want to go back down to the dugout? Probably not.
Another 80-year-old.
Right. Bruce Bochy is one. And you know what? If I were the Twins equivalent of Tony Dungy would probably be Tom Kelly. Like, does he want to
Gardenhire?
Right.
What was the thing that Zeke said? Ron Gardenhire is only 73 wins away from an all-time season. It'd only take him 2 years to get it.
We're lucky. To beat Tom Kelly's record for wins.
Yeah.
And the Twins again hung on to him probably 3 years too long. When you look at like most ownership groups and most teams when things go sideways, but I think they let him manage to get to his I think it was like 1,000th win or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like, they'll let him get to the milestone and then it's like, all right. Yeah. But there's a lot of different routes the Twins could go. And yes, there is a path of least resistance where the Twins are going to probably just hire whoever wants to take the job, because with a bunch of openings means that if there's like 2 job openings, there's only 30 manager spots in baseball. Right. As a mess as the Twins are, sports are full of egomaniacs who just want to be a manager.
The thing is the Twins will always be the worst of the options.
Right. Well, Pittsburgh exists, but they re-signed their bench coach. But,
I'm saying right, exactly.
Not every situation is created equally. And how attractive is the Twins job? Not the most attractive, but there's only 30 manager spots in baseball. So somebody's
right.
It's I don't care. I want to be a manager, and they're an egomaniac, and they'll probably go, I can do it though. It's failed for everybody else, but I can be the guy.
I mean, I would do it if they called me. Is this the official petition? I'll manage the Twins. That's fine.
Let Corey Tackman manage the Twins.
Why not? Our very own Ted Lasso story right here in Minnesota. That'd be fun, right?
That'd be fun. And the other thing too is
all one summer.
Like when the Twins hired Baldelli, Molitor was a he was an older school baseball guy, but he still was like a player. He was a former player. He just, again, wasn't like fully in on the front office because the front office didn't pick him and things like that. And whatever, that's fine. Molitor, was he a good manager? Was he not? He didn't get a ton of time to tell. So whatever. But like, they went to Baldelli, who was young, and his idea was he is going to communicate the new kind of vision that the Twins were still implementing at the time. And he is a young enough guy to still relate to players and do things like that. And for the large part, he did. He sat back. He was calm. He kind of told the players what they wanted to do. Now do the Twins still go in that route of like remember there was like a time in baseball where like you could find like the roster of EA MLB 2005 and you could find all the managers and put them in a lineup together because like they were that closely retired.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
It's kind of the same. Like, are they going to do that, or are they going to go to an older school kind of guy? Here's the thing though. If I've seen this floated out there among Twins fans that like the Twins need a manager who's gonna say no to the front office when he feels like he's ticked off. That guy's not getting hired. What do you think? What? No. Like, why would you as a general manager in a front office hire somebody who's going to be adversarial?
You can't just have spent the last 6 years or however long Rocco was the manager being like, all this guy is a shill for the people who hired him. And then be like, they need to hire somebody who's going to say no. Those people who are doing the hiring are going to pick the person that fits best with their style. Like this is
going to be just a different version of Rocco.
What are they going to do? They're going to go out and hire. Who's the guy who got fired 6 times by Billy Martin? They're going to go hire Billy Martin,
former Twins manager Billy Martin.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
They're going to resurrect him just to fire him again.
So all this conversation is really, like we said before, is like if you think about a normal situation, these are the real conversations. The Twins are in a total mess. Here's what I hope. This is what I personally hope. I don't have a specific name of who I want to be the manager. I have a few specific names that I actually don't want to be the manager because I'm looking out for them and I'm looking out for my own personal feelings.
Erie Adrianza.
He can do it. I don't care about him. I don't think Torrey Hunter should be the manager of the Twins. It's going to be if that's the guy who they go for, it's just going to be a Band-Aid, and they're going to hire Torrey as a way to deflect the conversation, and I don't like that. I also love Torrey Hunter with all of my sports heart, and I don't want to in 3 years have a disdain for that dude. I don't want to happen to Torrey Hunter the same thing that happened to Ben Johnson and Lindsey Whalen at the University of Minnesota, where they're just hiring figureheads. They're just hiring names to fill the gap and bridge the gap. Maybe arguably what happened to Paul Molitor. I am not interested in a bridge the gap coach unless it's a bridge the gap type. You know what I mean?
Right.
It can't be Torrey Hunter. You can't do that to Torrey.
If you're going to do a bridge to the gap, you might as well just rehire Gardenhire.
Hire Toby Gardenhire if that's what you're going to do. Right. Hire Jace Tingler. Hire Hank Conger.
If you just want somebody to sit here for 2 years and kind of babysit a rebuild,
then go hire Dusty Baker for 2 years. Like, let him be Tubby Smith. Everyone knew that was going to be just try to be a reclamation or retirement project for Tubby Smith, right? Like, fine. Go get that guy. Go get what the hell's his name? La Russa out of retirement one more time. Let that 80-year-old guy waddle up to home.
Sleep in the dugout during games.
If that's what you're going to do, that's fine. But then go get that guy. Don't waste my love and the Twins' love for Torrey Hunter to try to deflect the blowback you're getting. That is going to be a problem, and hopefully we as Twins fans are smart enough to understand what they're doing if they do something like that.
Also, Torrey Hunter, again, we talk about guys with no managing experience, has no managing experience. He's had some roles. He's with the Angels now, kind of doing a bunch of stuff. And by the way, is also a rumor in their room if Ron Washington decides to step down.
And by the way, I think one of the reasons he's with the Angels is because he has not been thrilled with the Twins organization. Like, I don't think that's a real great relationship. It's not Glenn Taylor or Kevin Garnett. I think Torrey would like to be a part of the Twins stuff, but not this mess.
Well, he has been too. It also just might be the Angels want him to be a part of theirs more and are paying him more, and his son is in the Angels organization, and
fine.
And also, Torrey Hunter kind of has a relationship with Ron Washington, and maybe Torrey sees there's an easier path to being a manager by staying with the Angels than staying with the Twins. That's right.
That proves my point, doesn't it? That the Angels are trying harder than the Twins to accommodate Torrey Hunter. Like, that's a guy you should want. The Twins want everybody, every former. It's collegiate in the Twins. Look at their spring training coaching staff. It's ridiculous. They just bring back everybody.
Right.
And Torrey's not one of those guys. And I just, I think Torrey is removing himself and separating.
Well, he was also a former Angel too. So like
I know, but that's the point. That's the point, is the relationship between Torrey and the Twins is not what it needs to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin, I'd rather it be this case than bring him over to become another scapegoat for this ownership.
Right. And yeah, there's, do you bring in Joe Mauer? Do you bring in Justin Morneau?
No! Don't ruin those guys.
Right.
Don't do it. What happened to Lindsay? That was bad for Lindsay Whalen. Why would we do that? Why are we doing that? Don't do that. Please.
I look forward in 2 weeks to we interviewed outside and we just figured that Jace was our guy.
Let it. At least we'll understand.
Every Stigler has been a manager before. He was a manager of the San Diego Padres.
Yes, of course. Then just let that be. I have no issue with being upset at Jace Tingler in 3 years.
Right.
Because it's not, unless this ownership thing solves itself, then just let it, give it a Viking funeral. Just shove it out to sea. Let Jace Tingler light that sucker on fire and push it out into the ocean. I'm fine with that.
So we'll see what the Twins do. We'll see how things end up kind of breaking down in all this mess. By the way, let's wrap up the show with this. Some good news. The Minnesota Wild have extended Kirill Kaprizov to the largest contract in NHL history. Are you ready for these figures, Corey?
Yes.
You're going to want to sit down. These are some huge numbers in the NHL. A 8-year contract that is $136 million, $17 million per season. It is the highest average annual value and total dollars in NHL history.
It's amazing. Way to go, dude. Best left winger in the game by what people tell me. So why wouldn't you pay that guy all that money?
That guy's awesome. There was reports a couple weeks ago that he turned down a contract that was around like 15 to 16 million per year. Gets the extra kind of put on his contract. The Wild needed to keep this guy around. It's one of those, you just can't let that guy leave your building. You just can't. And they keep him there. They pay him what he wants. You're good to go. Now build around him, for goodness sakes. Please.
Well, fortunately, they're working into that now, right? Where they're finally out of purgatory
the Breezy and Suter contracts, yeah. But now theoretically, you throw this contract in there, so
yeah. But this is at least the guy's playing for you.
You're getting value out of this guy. Yes, that is very much helpful.
So yeah, I don't. Cool, man. What the old one was like 124, 126,
something like that. Yeah,
total. So yeah, no, I'm just, this is the opposite of Jerry Jones getting rid of Micah Parsons. It just didn't make any, this is the thing that makes the most sense. And I'm glad they figured it out.
I have no other opinions on this other than good. Now build around him, now win. The season starts October 9th, next Thursday.
I tell you, I've got a text thread that was full of cool. That's a lot of money for a first round exit. Joke in the history. I mean, that's just, there's nothing else you can say about that organization right now.
Tell you what, it's not a stereotype if it's always true. And the Wild get bounced in the first round
all the time,
every single time. There is one thing that I find funny about this, and that's and then we'll be done. NHL contracts are very weird compared to other pro sports leagues contracts. $17 million a year is like what a high-end backup quarterback in the NFL feels like they make.
Yeah. I guess do we do the econ lesson right now?
Let me look up Naz Reid contract.
Supply and demand.
Naz Reid has a 5-year, $125 million contract with the Timberwolves right now.
Yeah.
So, $25 million a year
mm-hmm.
for your first guy off the bench. Meanwhile, that's the biggest contract in NHL history to make $17 million per year.
Yep.
It's a good number 2 starting pitcher in baseball makes about like $20 million a year.
Well, yeah, whatever. It's just this is gonna sound offensive to hockey fans, and it's not. I don't mean hockey is just not as important to the country.
The money that the TV contracts get is not as lucrative because that's why the other sports have bigger contracts.
More people like basketball and football than they like hockey
and baseball.
And owners there's a little more freedom in baseball. Not much more. I know it's not a total Wild West in baseball like it used to be, but like they can still kind of do whatever they want over there.
Yeah.
Hockey he got the biggest deal he could, by the way. One of the things that is similar between the NHL and NBA is the team who has him can offer him more. I'm pretty sure that's correct. So
yeah, I'm not sure.
He got on top of, like, he maxed it out. He maxed out whatever he could get in this deal.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him. Him. He looks good in Christmas colors.
Yep. And he'll get to wear the throwbacks, which are coming back this year.
Yeah.
For their 25th season.
Yeah. Whatever.
Those, I'm about to say something.
Minnesota sports fan through and through. The Wild stuff does not emotionally strike the right chord for me.
Their best uniforms were the ones where it had the Minnesota Wild script. Like, it was like cursive. It was like,
oh yeah, those were nice.
Those were great. And then when Adidas bought them, they're like, we don't do secondary jerseys. What do you mean? We only do home and away. What?
Okay. Hockey.
Good job. Yeah, good job.
Hockey.
Great job growing your game. It's the exact opposite of the NBA.
I think their best jerseys are the Wild in the North Star colors. That's what I think are the best jerseys.
Those are also good
looking. No, I'm just not a fan of, like, I want Christmas to happen for 7 days in the month of December and nowhere else. I don't need Christmas colors plastered all over my life just because you play hockey. They're just Christmas colors.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's fine.
Ho, ho, ho. This is the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch at FunZone Arcade in Wadena. We will be playing an interview with Coach Hoemberg, so stick around for that. See ya.
And we get to take a cool opportunity now to go check things out at the Bertha-Hewitt School District with head football coach Jared Hoemberg. Jared, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. We're 5-0 and beautiful weather outside today. Super excited.
Football team's cruising. You got another big win, undefeated. That must a special time of year when the football team's rolling, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. The spirit around the school, and everyone's in a great mood. And like I said, the weather and the start of the school year, everything's going great.
Well, it's always a special time in every school when the football team is rolling, but in particular at Bertha-Hewitt, speaking of special, something big planned for today. I'm going to let you just dive on into this. Why don't you tell us a little bit, a background of how we got to this event today, what the event is, and just take it away.
Yeah, something really cool. Mr. Mills, our AD, started quite a few years ago now. We have a young man named Taylor Stange. Taylor has special needs, but loves the game of football so much. And Mr. Mills included him with the team, and he wanted to be a part of the team in 7th grade. And now he's a junior, and Mr. Mills decided to have Taylor score a touchdown his first year. I know there was a very popular YouTube video that was out there that kind of does this thing and possibly used it as motivation, but ever since the 7th grade year, we have had Taylor score a touchdown in a game. So that happened in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and this tonight we're actually facing Monaga, and he will score a touchdown at 5 o'clock tonight, and the whole team will have smiles and we'll be so excited for Taylor. Again, he works so hard, and he does things for the team, and it's so awesome to see him put on a helmet, wear a jersey, and score a touchdown like everybody else on the team or a lot of our team members. And it's so special for our team too, and a lot of his teammates, because one of the big things about our football team is we try to create young men that are selfless and think of others. And it's pretty special that Taylor's able to do that. And again, he's been committed, and it's awesome to see a smile on his face and everybody else's face, and including his parents, for him to be included. It's pretty special.
Well, and when you say committed, you're not messing around, right? Like, he's at every practice, every game, everywhere, all the time.
Absolutely, he is. And he stays till the very end, and his parents pull up at 5:30 p.m., and he's there and waves us goodbye, and he's there all day, every day.
All right, so he's a junior this year, which means a senior next year. Are we putting a touchdown for Taylor on a varsity schedule, or are we not going to put a cart in front of our horse on this one yet?
Oh, we're absolutely going to do that. It's going to be a varsity. It'll be pretty special next year because, like I said, he's been committed for so many years, and we've done this for such a long time, and I can't wait for next year for it to be the grand finale kind of deal.
All right, Jared, let's do this one more time. Let's give the details one more time again so football fans and the Bertha-Hewitt community can come on out and support this. This is really neat for the game tonight. What time? When's Taylor getting the ball? When's he scoring that touchdown so we can come out and watch?
Yep, Taylor's getting the touchdown at 5 p.m. tonight at the Bertha-Hewitt field, and we are taking on Monaga and bring lots of cheer for him and the team.
Jared, thanks so much for your time this morning. Have fun tonight with that, and keep that football team rolling. We're having fun watching it from a distance here.
Thank you, Corey. I appreciate it.
Jared Hoemberg, head football coach at Bertha-Hewitt Schools. A touchdown with Taylor tonight at 5. Go check it out.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.